Ooh. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 9th episode, I remembered this time, of Scion of the Dark House, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition Gothic horror podcast. It is a Gothic horror podcast, and I've made sure to know the lines and veils of all of the players, so please be aware of your own if things such as blood, gore, violence, child endangerment, or other forms of darkness or horror may cross a line for you. Please make sure that you take a break. Your support means a lot to us, but your mental health does as well. So we left off with the group one short, having done a little bit of errand running. You had gone to the Shovel and Spade and had met with a acquaintance of Arthur's known as Dove, who appeared as a kindly albino nun. But Arthur, and Arthur alone, knows she's not a nun. It was revealed that there is a sinister force in Darkmoor that has been hopping from city to city, driving clergy insane. Originating from a shop known as the Illuminated Way, Dove inquired about information and then asked for the proprietor to be assassinated. They went in to find it to be a rather normal-looking bookshop with a slightly eccentric person running it. They managed to charm the proprietor, buy a book, and swipe an ink vial, which, in the next episode, they found out was laced with demon ichor, which was the cause of everybody's insanity. They then went on a literal shopping spree where Arthur got the proboscis of the strigoi that they killed earlier in the adventure, handed over and started to be made into a special sword. They then found a shop that had been mentioned earlier called the Cuddly Rat. Upon entering, they found the proprietor to be old, eccentric, and insane, knowing things that he shouldn't, and seeming to experience time out of order. He allowed them to buy magical items, which I have swapped, but that was my mistake, at an incredibly low cost of 1 copper piece per item, which they found he could actually turn copper coins into gold and platinum by flipping them over, which, interesting. Upon leaving, he left the group with a terrifying prophecy, transforming halfway into a raven and grabbing Percy and declaring that he is in possession of a cauldron that is about to overflow and there is nothing he can do to stop it. After leaving, the shop vanished into thin air. And we leave them in the street outside of the alleyway discussing what to do next. So, as you are discussing what to do next, Percy, you hear, as you had before, the voice of your cousin, Alex, pop into your head. As you know, this is a sending spell, a spell that he is able to cast. And it says, "Sorry I snapped at you. I want you to be safe. You're my best friend. Where are you so that I can send your dragon friend?"
I was like, well, we just left the Cuddly Rat, but I think we're right across from the no, I'm blanking out on the name of the vampire bar. God, I have it written down somewhere.
You did go into the city. This is
Oh,
in the inner city as opposed to the Shovel and Spade, which is in the outer city.
I stand corrected. So I'll just say we left someplace called the Cuddly Rats, and we're about to head back up towards the upper city.
You momentarily get a response. Um, okay, never heard of that place. I'll just send him to Cathedral Square. And the message cuts out. Rerek, you have spent some time at the staff of night with the Divination department. You, after the events in the library, you were sent up with Alex, Percy's cousin, to look at a device known as the Ocularum, a magical orrery-like device that, when finished, would allow a caster to ignore many of the downsides of divination spells. It is incredibly powerful and requires a lot of incredibly expensive equipment. Magical lenses etched with sigils, platinum, gold, a variety of things. Afterwards, you met the department head, an elf who has an obsession with butterflies and carries around a crystal ball named Lysander Hawks. The architect of the Ocularum and the artifice department head, a gnome known as Clatter Coggins, who has a badger for a familiar who he puts his tool bag over. The divination advisor for the Ocularum, a Gothian-born Nipponese elf woman named Aiko Maikawa, who has a spider familiar and wears these elaborate kimonos that drag on the ground, but they never seem to get dirty, as well as the various divination students and artifice students that are working on the device to make sure that it functions. You have a nice, lovely conversation with the heads of the artifice and divination department about the difference between Egyptian divination and Gothian divination, as well as divination theory. And you seem to make pretty good friends. And eventually, it's late, and you are allowed to either sleep in the divination dorms or go to the library, unsure of which one you chose, but eventually you slip into a long rest and wake up with Alex shaking you awake and sending you to Cathedral Square, where you are currently waiting for your comrades to arrive. So we're going to skip a little bit ahead to where you all have come together. You are standing in Cathedral Square, the place very close to the illuminated way, with the cathedral to your backs and the vast array of religious paraphernalia shops in front of you. It's probably mid-morning. I think is where we would have maybe 11, 12 o'clock. And you are all now back together. So what would you like to do?
Well, boys, murder's on the menu. And Daddy's hungry. The only question is,
are we
chicken or
actually eating?
So to fill you in, Rerek, we uncovered a dastardly plot to poison my fellow clerics, and well, I've been given permission to deal with the problem. So, how do we? You're the assassin here, Arthur. How would you recommend we approach this?
well, it's probably unwise to approach him in his shop unless he happens to have living quarters above. I would say maybe let's check out the day-to-day operations, see if he leaves, wait for business to close, perhaps sneak in after dark, see what's going on. That's the first step.
Well, we have quite a while until dark, but I suppose we could observe the business now if you want to.
Yeah, why don't maybe we see if Jasmine can catch his scent, see if he's still in there.
All right, first roll of the night. Give me a perception check for Jasmine with
Will
advantage
do.
because she has advantage on smell, I believe.
True. She do. Let me double check her stats because I can't remember them. There we go. Yeah, it's +4. Advantage roll. And that'll be a 23.
Okay. So you let her kind of sniff around. He's definitely in the shop. Probably not in the front of the shop, but he is on the first floor.
Excellent. Do we, above game, recall if we had found like anything else in there? Like, did it appear when we were looking around that there were living quarters, or is it just a shop?
It seems to be just a shop. You're not sure what's on the second floor because these are multi-story shops where people do tend to live above them. Didn't seem to be a staircase to the second floor.
I'm wondering if perhaps we may be able to take advantage of Lark, your fairy wiles that you had cast on him prior.
What's your idea?
Well, I'm not familiar with all of your magics, but perhaps he would be easier to, let's say, eliminate if he were in a passive state.
Well, I could try to charm him again, or even just... If the fact that he fell for the charm means that he's probably susceptible to a few of my other tricks that could make him rather easy to get rid of for you.
So we need to find out when that shop is going to close. Do we have, he already knows who we are. He recognizes us. I don't believe after stealing from him, it would be wise to approach him in daylight again. And yet I don't know how long he's going to be there.
You didn't technically steal from him. You weaseled a discount out of him.
Which
the
is
pot of
a
ink.
steal.
He didn't notice.
Oh, okay, good. Well, we can go with that. So perhaps we just, on multiple levels, and forgive the double entendre, walk in the front door. Perhaps see how late he might be available. We've got some other business to attend to, but we're so eager to pick his brain about his work. Perhaps, Percy, you're very interested in another book.
Well, they did have many interesting scriptures. And to volunteer my own services for this assassination, I do have the ability to make an opponent vulnerable. So perhaps Lark tees up the ball, I weaken it, and then a well-placed arrow finishes it off.
Sounds wise enough to me. Now, the only question left is when and where, because it's not wise to do it in the middle of his shop and be seen leaving there. We've got to find a place to hide the body. Or, Rerek,
Yes.
how do you feel about spitting some fire?
Like, burn the entire building?
I mean, maybe not the building. That might be quite a bit noticeable to the townsfolk. But
I would ask
perhaps
to refrain from arson in the cathedral ward.
yeah, that may be wise. Perhaps just to dispose of the body.
Of course.
And leave nothing more than a mysterious disappearance.
That was already in my mind.
Excellent.
Actually.
Then I
If
believe
we want him alone, perhaps we can lure him somewhere? Behind the shop, perhaps, in an alley?
Yes, but what would he want?
As you remember, there is no alley that goes behind the shop. The two buildings butt right up against each other on either side.
Above game, did we ever figure out, like, we know that he's shipping it in from another country, but we still haven't even technically figured out his motives for this, right?
No.
No.
In
The
all
proprietor of the
honesty,
Cuddly Rat did mention that he knew that they just wanted to spread chaos, but whether or not you believe the proprietor of the Cuddly Rat or take him at his word will be up to you.
He is our new prophet. Everything he says.
If we
you
want
kidding me? He's
information,
my new religion.
if we want information from him before we do the deed, well, it might make the assassination harder, but I can potentially force him to tell the truth.
I'm not getting paid for information. That deal has already been done.
I agree. It's probably best to just cut off the head of the snake.
So to speak. So, we know how. Again, just the when and the where.
Once again, we could lure him. Perhaps you could use your fairy fingers to mage hand a anonymous letter saying we have found out about Demon Icar or something and want to meet him somewhere. That might just alert him, though. Make him
Yeah.
wary.
True. He doesn't strike me as the type of gentleman who would respond well to a threat. He's a merchant. So perhaps money is the way to go?
We pose as a buyer then? But why wouldn't we just meet in his shop then?
Ooh.
Do we know if there's like a black market that's happening in this place that he probably participates in at night?
Well, if someone was to find that out, it'd probably be Arthur.
Yeah, I don't know of any black markets in the area that trade in anything other than, well, death. But and I don't imagine that would be rather helpful here. How you know the city, Percy? How busy is the square at night?
Hey DM, how busy is the square at night?
It depends on what time of night. There are evening prayers that quite a few people tend to attend, as well as there are a fair few people that might go in throughout the night or attend some kind of hastily arranged morning mass. So probably anywhere from maybe 11 to 4-ish is the safest option, but it's also a gamble. There's still people that are going to be walking in and out of the square.
So well, the square is always somewhat populated, but 11 to 4, I would say, is the least. And the only problem is he's a shop owner. I can't imagine he's going to be around at 11 o'clock.
Right. So that leaves us with a few options. The deed must either be done in its entirety within the confines of his establishment, or he must be seen exiting the building with us of his own free will. Personally, I lean more towards the former.
Well, I would be inclined to follow your lead then.
Sounds
All
good
right.
to me.
So let's maybe see if we can gauge how long he's going to be there. Again, I don't want to do this during the middle of the day. So Percy, would you mind maybe just popping in, perhaps mentioning you're on your way to handle some other business, but are very intrigued to have a conversation with him, that you'd like to return in the evening?
Of course, yes. I'll head in.
Excellent.
So walk on in.
You open the door to the shop, and there's, of course, the bell over the door that ding, 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 ding. There is somebody at the desk. Let's just say that they are a sandy blonde half elf who's sitting at the desk, kind of scribbling away at a notebook with some other sheets of paper, clearly doing some accounting of some kind. And he looks up. Oh, hello. What can I do for you?
Hi. I was in the shop yesterday speaking with a Mr. Herbert. I was wondering if I might speak with him again.
Oh, he's a bit booked today. I'll see if there's an appointment open. Unless you are just looking to buy a book, in which you can, of course, buy it now.
Not myself, but I was very impressed by the quality of your books here. So I was speaking with one of my superiors, and she was mentioning perhaps forming a bit of a deal between the church and your business.
Oh, interesting. We did just sell last week some copies of books to the Darkmoor Cathedral. Interesting. I'll make a note of that. And I'll see what time I can get him available. And he kind of flips through some of the ledgers. The latest I have is around 9 p.m. The store closes at 9:30, but a lot of people, especially if it's a good deal, may want to stick around for it. So I'll see if I can pencil you in for that.
Nine may work, but forgive me for asking. We're very busy at the church. Could it potentially be after you close I can speak with him? Just to ensure that my superior will be free.
Sure. I will have to pencil you in for 9, but I can make a request that the meetings start later. Booking him will make sure that he's busy at that time and you won't lose your spot. Of course, I'm sure you understand.
Very well.
Quickly jots down a note, and he turns and kind of does a little whistle and waves, and somebody comes down and he hands off the piece of paper and they look at it and then run back up. All right, is there anything else that I can do for you?
That should be all. Will I be notified if my request is to be accepted?
Of course. Just check by anytime.
Wonderful.
And he goes back to scribbling in the ledger.
Walk back out to my boys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have an appointment for 9 p.m. I requested after hours, and it may be fulfilled or it may not.
Not the best of news, but I suppose it's the most we have to work with. I certainly hope it wasn't under your name.
Percy kind of like, well, it was.
Lovely. All right. Rerek, save up a little bit of
Do
fire.
this very often. I've never.
Don't, not out loud in the middle of the square.
Did Percy mention that the person at the desk wasn't Herbert, but was this half-elf person or whatever?
No, I don't think I did, but I couldn't get a hold of Herbert himself, but there was just some front desk receptionist half elf.
Oh, lovely. Witnesses.
It's just going to be like, he was prepared for today, more so than yesterday then. Elves are notoriously hard to charm. Resilient, one might say.
Well, leave that to me. I'll handle the half elf. And I'm assuming that your name is in an appointment book?
I would think so. It was just a note, but I assume he keeps his record somewhere.
Well, we'll have to be mindful of that before we exit the premises on the conclusion of our business.
Thank you. I would not have thought of that.
Yeah. I don't imagine it would look very well to have a cleric's name as the last appointment in a book before, well, you know.
Yes, I would think so. I just need to return at some point to see what time the appointment will truly be. But otherwise, we are free.
Wonderful. You were speaking with your cousin earlier about meeting in Cathedral Square or something of the sort.
Or just of picking up Rerek from his time observing the Ocularum. Did
that
you
was
learn
it.
anything useful, Rerek?
I definitely met a lot of people that I need to remember their names. But yes, I was reading books all night until I fell asleep on the desk.
Oh, sounds enlightening.
Sounds utterly
Right.
boring.
I would
What?
have to agree, but he seems delighted.
It was fun for me.
So then, to more lively matters, there was mention of a fairy godmother, I believe.
Yes, I'm honor bound to interfere with her since she invited me with that horrible name on her shop.
It's not as if I have any kindness in my heart for her people, so lead on.
I do have an idea. You won't stop me from carrying it through, will you, Percy? You're a little bit of you can be a bit of a buzzkill when things are a little less than.
Well, I draw the line at murder, especially people that are not the fairy godmother. But otherwise, go nuts. I kind of hate her.
What if it's not us doing the murdering?
Perhaps we should walk and talk?
Yeah. Okay, well then what are you thinking of?
So above game, like when can I do a nature check or something, or a history check to see how much Lark remembers about Meanlock's DM?
Yes, you certainly may. Getting the
Gonna
book
summon
with
a
the stat block.
little horrible fairy Glen inside of her house.
You sneaky little bugger, I love it.
Where did that book go? Oh, it's probably under here.
Oh, that's still. This was a horrible, horrible check. I only rolled a 3, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Well,
I can also do
Pan
one,
closes the book.
like a history check. Is that what you did? Or nature check?
Nature check. And it would probably be higher for you because you don't live in the Feywild. But it's not impossible.
Well, you don't want me to do it, I'll tell you that.
I was saying I was gonna do a history check because I thought that was what he did.
No, it would be a nature check.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still doesn't really change Lark's line of thought. He just probably doesn't know what exactly they're going to do to her, but he's pretty much just going to be like, well,
I'm going to say you're familiar enough to know that they are very good at scaring people. They can also basically turn your mind into soup.
Yeah. I was just
They're
wondering,
horrible little psychic fairies.
Yeah. I was kind of wondering if Lark knew about their reproduction method, which, I mean, she wants to call herself a fairy godmother.
I would say probably not.
Yeah.
You just know that they're really good at scaring the soup out of people and turning people's brains into soup.
So yeah, Lark's just going to be like, so here's my idea. I think I should just have a nice, polite conversation with the woman and tell her that near the town, there's been a shift in nature and the veil between worlds weakened, and there's a whole gaggle of Fae just waiting to give her inspiration for a design.
All right. I can be on board with that. It's a little
So you want to
soft.
lure her to this strange little fairy meadow that you made on the road.
Yes, particularly because of the meanlock infestation.
I've got a lovely thought.
Terrifying, what is
So-
it?
Indeed. I do still seem to have in my possession, reaches into his pack, a lovely pot of ink.
Oh.
Oh,
You did say that you drew the line at, well, I think that's above the line.
Don't hate it.
I mean, unless you'd prefer that we save it for a more worthwhile cause. Yawn.
I mean, I think the only question would be, of the two plans, how do we actually make them happen?
Oh, but I'm so not a fan of or. Perhaps, and with a gloved hand, I would add, we provide her instructions that may or may not be written in a sulfurous ink laced with demon ichor.
So Lark has a little conversation and hands her a map or something made out of demon ichor.
It's not the
Ooh,
worst idea I've ever heard.
it would soften her up for them.
My only concern is the fairy godmother is a fiendishly prude woman. I don't know how likely she is to sully her feet outside of the kingdom of Darkmoor and trudge into a forest.
Well, what are her motivations? I mean, you've
Money?
been connected with her longer than the rest of us. So,
She's a horrendous woman. I don't know what would motivate her to venture out into an enchanted forest.
hmm.
What about the allure of authenticity, Percy? She's shilling cheap knockoffs.
They were
Well,
rather
these cheap
dreadful.
knockoffs are making her rather rich, so I think it's a lovely plan as long as you can sell it, I suppose.
Well, and she already knows all of our faces, so it's not as if we have the element of surprise.
Does she know me?
I think so. I think you
I think
all
we were
were
all
in the
there for
shop.
that.
We were
Yeah.
all chilling there, but I feel like the one of us who really interacted with her was Percy, albeit
Yeah.
briefly.
And she's an important
Hmm.
lady. She probably doesn't really care. She probably even barely remembers me.
So if we're unable to get her to leave the shop, then perhaps we bring the mean locks to her?
Oh dear.
I know nothing of the creatures, so...
And what would that entail?
Just be like, you couldn't pay me to fly within 10 feet of that den again.
All right. Well,
The numbers of them. One mean lock is one thing. How many did we see?
Probably close to a dozen, if not more. And you were unsure of whether or not more of them may have come from the Feywild, whether or not this was a open and shut situation, or whether or not there is a veil with which they might come through. But there's probably at least a dozen, if not more, in that warren right now.
So, Percy, she's a greedy, shrewd woman, constantly seeking more wealth, more prestige, more power, right?
Yes. I'm willing to put anyone down to get there.
Oh dear. I mean, we could just, yeah, I think Lark's kind of just floating along and he goes, she doesn't sound too different from some of the people I know back home, so.
Well, if you think it'll work, it's worth a shot.
I'm as willing as the rest of you to, well, perhaps a bit more. Ruin the
If that
woman's
fails, we can always
mind.
turn to other methods, though I do like your idea on the map too. So who wants to draw a map?
I'm not the most proficient at such things.
What would map making fall under in like the skills?
It would probably be more of a skill challenge than like where you're using multiple skills. Taking a quick look at the character sheet, if I can actually flip to it instead of just flipping past it. Yeah, you definitely need multiple checks in order to successfully create the map. Because it's one thing to remember where everything is, it's one thing to make sure everything's to scale, it's one to actually draw the thing. There's a variety of steps.
Well, I do have, being a huntsman, a good sense of direction, but I never was good at the finer points of motor skills. The quilts I made for my mother were always, well, dreadful.
Well, a map might be slightly out of our reach. Instructions,
So,
perhaps?
do we recall like just a general idea of the location? My thought process is perhaps we threaten the lifestyle that she holds so dear, something to the tune of, if you wish to see your shop survive, here's where you need to go, etc., etc.
Oh, more fire spitting.
Well, again, I wasn't suggesting that we set the building on fire, although it's not an unpretty thought.
We could,
at any rate.
Yes, I think I understand what you're saying there, Arthur. We could try to. Well, you catch more flies with honey than shit, but a little bit of shit mixed into the honey won't hurt. We have to make it pertinent for her to go there, assuming that we can't convince her with just a few silvered words.
Ooh, is there a chance we could could we charm the note?
Not any way I know.
What use is magic if it can't get what you need done? Never had any patience for this stuff.
I was going to suggest using one of the many items that were given to us by the hags.
I grow tired of discussing the permutations. I vote just good old-fashioned intimidation. A nice handwritten note stuck to the door with an arrow. Call it a day.
Straightforward is always good.
I always shoot straightforward.
But it's not fun that way.
Well,
you can watch her facial expression change. That should be fun enough.
Is she
at least you have the satisfaction of knowing that, you know, her mind would be, well, flayed.
How long does it take to cause that to happen, though?
Yes, I know. You wish to be there to take in the chaos. It does sound
on that note,
quite entertaining.
Percy, you do remember there was a mention of the Darkmoor Cathedral purchasing several of these tomes from the shop that have the ink on it, if that's in any way helpful.
Well, I remember the half elf at the bookshop explained to me that the church has already purchased several of these tomes. Perhaps we can get our hands on some of them and make use of them.
Perhaps, but I'm unsure of how exactly that would look. And really the goal here is to be able to see her go, well, insane. If that's what we're speaking of, I imagine it's a process that takes time. It was a pretty thought. Perhaps not the most
it was about a
expedient
week
solution.
ago, so are we to assume the toxins and whatever demonic ink this is take that long to take effect?
Would we have maybe gotten that sort of information from the conversation with the dove?
Well, I don't think she would have said it explicitly, but she did seem to, while she did handle the page with care, she wasn't handling it with gloves.
So, recalling how the dove interacted with the materials, one would have to imagine that it's repeated exposure that causes the problem, if I recall correctly, at which point perhaps the ink isn't our best idea. Disappointing, to be sure.
Yeah, the ink was written into prayer books, which someone would flip through multiple times a day, multiple days of the week, if not every day.
Routinely.
Lark, how do you feel about good old-fashioned sabotage? Vandalism? Something along those lines?
I mean, those are classics, but I still just want to give it a go to see if I can talk her way into that glen. Really, it's my fault they're here. I might as well provide them with some form of food.
Well, if any one of us could persuade that witch into doing whatever it is you want, it's probably you, Lark.
I don't know about persuasion, but Arthur says, stroking Jasmine's head, intimidation has always been second nature. I'll back you up, whatever you choose.
If things start going south, we can fall back towards that, and if things really go south, we can always switch track to vandalism another day.
True.
The old classics, spoiling the
One would
milk.
imagine we couldn't allow that sign to continue to exist.
No, not at all.
Well, sounds like you want to have a few words with the fairy godmother then.
Suppose I
And
do.
I'll say at this point that you're probably on either one end or the other of Main Street.
Yeah.
That you would be able to see at least the fairy godmother statue shooting off its harmless, colorful fireworks from its statue at the edge of the sidewalk from down the street, even with all of the other colorful distractions like the spinning top hat and the dragon and all of the other stuff from the other shops.
Guess now is the time.
Lead the way, my fairy friend.
Where are we at? Okay. I just wanted to look at my background because I'm going to use my feature on it, probably, or my feature from it, because I feel like it makes the most sense narratively.
Right. Took me
Yeah.
a moment to remember which one that was.
So because I'm a far traveler, I have a feature called All Eyes on You, which means that people notice me. I sometimes make people uncomfortable based on my dialect, way I behave, choice of words, and my appearance make me stand out from the rest. Obviously, a fairy floating around in the air, weird. But it also makes you the center of attention for scholars and other people that are fascinated by distant lands, not to mention common citizens that are anxious to hear stories about your homeland. So I'm going to try to finagle All Eyes on You because this woman is making money off of the name of fairies and trying to channel, very poorly in Lark's opinion, their styles and things that are passed down in silly mortal picture books about what it's like in the Feywild. So yeah, I'm going to just casually, I guess, take point and fly the group and just be like, go to fairy godmothers and use prestidigitation to blow the doors open with a gust of wind. A little drama never hurt, right?
Very true.
I picked up prestidigitation when I Warlock multi-classed. I now
Right.
literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 8 cantrips now.
Jeez.
So if it's a magic trick, I can do it. So I'll blow open the doors with the posse behind me and just float on in.
There's definitely a bit of shock as the doors blast open and some of the employees kind of jump. You see one woman trying to dress a mannequin and and the mannequin just falls over. And surprisingly, there is actually Madam Drintal standing in the center of the showroom, directing people to change the displays. It seems that they are changing what dresses and shoes and accessories are out on the floor at the time. And she turns and glares and just goes, "Can I help you?"
Darling, the real question is, am I willing to help you?
Really?
I mean, your wares, they look a little bit like what you can find back in my homeland, but honestly. And he kind of just floats forward and he goes, have you ever even been to the Feywild?
Does it matter?
Well, considering that you're using our name, it might.
Well, think of it as a metaphor. I'm sure you have those from where you come from. I give people what they want, what they wish for. Nothing more, nothing less.
But what about, he's drifting forward, what about an aura of authenticity to your work?
People don't want authenticity. They want prestige, brand. My shop comes with both of those things, authentic or not. At this point, I can sell horse shit and people will wear it and pay hundreds of gold for it. It's just the way things are.
But if you had the help of the Fae, wouldn't you think you'd make more money at this point?
Do I need to make more money at this point? I
Why
mean,
are
look
you so-
around you. And she motions to this very large shop that she seems to have. I am quite successful.
But you could be more successful.
And you think the fairies, fickle, ever-changing, are going to help?
I mean, you invited us here with the name. Why wouldn't we lend a little bit of aid to your cause?
Arthur steps
am
forward just a moment. Perhaps I believe what my winged friend is trying to say is there may be magics that the Fae and my friends specifically have access to quite immediately that may be able to ensure, let's call them return customers?
If I've drifted within 10 feet of her, have you guys been staying like close to me?
Sure.
I'm going to say yeah.
Anybody who's
We
in
were
10
watching.
feet of me, can you make a wisdom saving throw?
Hell yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Charm me.
Yeah, I'm going to invoke my Fey presence.
Oh, and she gets advantage on this.
Oh, so do I actually.
I don't.
I don't know what her bonuses are.
I think I'm good. I got a 20.
Me too.
16.
16 beats it by 2.
Oh.
At least I look good for a minute there.
Very true. Probably one of the staff members who's kind of fiddling with a mannequin absolutely, we'll just say absolutely whiffs it and is charmed by you and is just
I'll finger motion to have them walk towards me.
Oh, they do.
Hmm.
Now imagine, I'm kind of like drifting towards her. Imagine if your clothes could do something like that with a glance.
Don't they already?
Oh, sweetheart, there's less magic in this place than, I don't know, the Undercity.
Still. You've wasted enough of my time. Either make an appointment to buy something or leave my shop and stop bothering my employees. And she takes her cane and crack, just whacks the woman on the head. And she kind of, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And goes back and starts like picking up the mannequin, clearly having broken her out of the charm with the cane to the back of the head.
I like whisper to Lark as subtly as I can and be like, can you do that thing one more time?
Wait, you want me to try it again on who? Her? Or
Yeah.
I mean, I have another way. Lark's just gonna tilt his head and just be like, shrug, and I'll subtle spell a charm person on her.
Can I cast Bane on her?
Does Bane require a saving throw?
I think it requires a charisma save.
All right.
Yeah, it's a charisma saving throw.
And is that technically a charm effect? Or is that
Where would it say that?
somewhere in the description?
Just whenever a target fails a saving throw, if they try to make an attack or a saving throw before the spell ends, they must roll a d4 and subtract that number from their roll for up to 1 minute.
Well, it doesn't seem to be a charm effect. So she'll just roll regularly.
Sweet.
My
My spell
It's a
save
charisma?
DC, yeah, charisma. My spell save DC is a
16?
15.
16.
Damn it.
And now she's
I
going to roll
tried.
against the charm person, which she does with advantage because she's an elf. Oh. As a wisdom for charm person?
Yeah.
Oh, she got a 10.
Hmm.
So she's charmed?
You would assume so.
So I'm just... Are you sure that we can't... I'm doing this for you, darling, just to... There's a place nearby where the Feywilds touched this plane. It could be ripe for creative inspiration for you.
Well, I thank you, but I don't think I need that. It was lovely for you to offer, though. She very clearly has changed behavior.
Can I roll for intimidation?
Sure, you can.
Wonderful. I'm just
Checking
gonna
charm
have
person as well.
Oh, wait.
Jasmine like sneak up beside me. 21, by the way.
And how are you doing this?
Verbally, let's say if you wish to keep those ears attached to your head, you know, the ones that so delightfully reflect the name on your sign out there, I think it wise that you follow my friend and his advice quite closely.
Just reading the spell.
Spells is a good thing to do.
Would threatening someone be considered harmful?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I haven't done anything yet.
But you've made a threat.
That's true.
You know what? I won't have her break out of it, but I will have her roll the save again because you've made a very obvious threat.
Fair.
So that's a 17, so that would be a 19. And she
19 against her what again? This is for breaking the charm
against
person?
the save, yes, to break charm
Okay.
person.
She broke it.
Yep. And she kind of shakes her head a little bit. I would like to ask you again to leave my shop, or I will be taking drastic measures. There was no need for magic.
Wonderful. Well, boys, I'm out.
What a lady.
Oh, it was just a harmless trick, dear. I'm just gonna float outwards.
Yep.
She just glares at you as you move out the door slowly back into the street.
I don't think we'll be welcome in that shop again.
I'm not
Mark, the
entirely
next
happy with
time
how
I
that turned
charm
out.
someone, don't threaten them.
Mhm. It seemed like your skill set was getting us leagues and miles toward our goal. No offense meant.
Well, it was a stretch. We gave it our best shot.
Fine. Come back later tonight and set the sign on fire?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, we've got to
Well-
do something.
Is there anything else on the agenda then before we have our other matters to attend to?
It's going to take me some time to get over the disappointment of this particular event. I suppose you have an appointment to check on?
Why not? Yeah, I'll head back to the Illuminated Way.
All right. So it probably hasn't been very long since
yeah.
you got your appointment.
Well, maybe
Maybe
we
an
wait
hour,
a little
hour
bit
and a
then.
half.
Felt like forever trying to do something with that lady.
Mm,
It's probably like
Yeah.
a 5-minute conversation, maybe.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I'd
if
say
I feel like it's not enough time, we can just wait a little bit and then
Yeah.
head in.
I mean, I'm all for giving, dismantling her enterprise another go after as well as that went, although I can't say that I have many ideas as to how we should go about that.
Why not just try slipping in that pot of cursed ink into her study?
Yeah, I could. It would have to be on something she handles regularly, though.
I mean, I would
What
assume she has a
about-
pot on her desk somewhere. Just replace it.
What if she drank it?
I think
could.
just drinking ink would be bad enough to probably do something there, but like,
Maybe just slip it in her drink or something.
We could perhaps apply it to that cane, although I don't know how we'd get it away from her, and I wish I had thought of that before we left.
A woman as vain as that, she must follow some sort of beauty routine, right?
Wait, I have a question. What's her business again?
dressmaking.
So
basically.
use the ink to ink the clothes or something, like dye the clothes.
Well, then we're gonna curse all the people that buy the clothes.
Yeah, she seems like the woman that she's gotten to the point in her empire where she doesn't actually handle clothes at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
She just handles design, and then all of the grunts do all the work.
Oh, so she would draw it. She would
Probably, she probably draws a few designs, a few dresses herself, as well as you would know, Percy, your sister designs some of the dresses.
I would ask maybe we don't just let her draw with it much. I don't want my sister handling this cursed ink, but Lark might be onto something with the makeup.
Was she heavily made up or anything?
Yes, she definitely puts a face.
She has to have like liquid like mascara or eyeliner or something that she would be using.
Yes, but in her place of work?
You do remember she has a rather large office in the building.
Oh, you could sneak into her office and poison her makeup supplies.
A tasty idea, to be sure. Lark, would you be amenable to just satisfying yourself on the fact that knowing she'll go slowly insane, even though that you may not be there to witness it?
I mean, I suppose so.
At this point, I believe it's the best we have to offer, although we can still light the sign on fire to satisfy you.
No, it's all right. I'll just leave a small present, and I'm just gonna fly over to the sign. Is it in the? Where is the sign at exactly?
It's sticking out almost tavern style from the door, from above the door, like all the other shops.
Okay. I feel like as a sorcerer, I started with like a dagger or something, right?
Probably.
I just want to like carve just a little sylvan thing in the sign real quick.
Yeah, you certainly can. Maybe give me a sleight of hand check to see how easily you can actually, accurately, you can actually carve it into the wood, because wood carving ain't easy.
Sleight of hand. Probably
just
not.
A quick point. Is it entirely wise to fly up to the side of the building in broad daylight and carve something in the sign, especially looking the way that you do?
And he has all the attention.
Oh, the one charm thing only lasts for literally like a few seconds to stun someone.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Which you all passed. Kudos for that.
Yeah, thanks for the warning, by the way.
Yeah. There's no I can't control myself sometimes or what I do.
We've met you.
Well, I suppose I shouldn't. Maybe later. We'll carve into it later. I'll leave a very nice little message on it, shall we?
Indeed. As an assassin, I have learned patience to be a virtue. So, as disappointing as it is, I believe on to other matters.
Patience. The new plan is come back so Lark can do his scribbling and for Arthur to sneak in and taint the makeup.
And perhaps do a shit in her chair. You know, whichever one.
Well, if the goal is to poison the makeup, though, we probably shouldn't leave any other trace of us than that, so she's not suspicious.
Well, fine. Wisdom, sure. whichever. Would be satisfying though.
Well, sounds like I should go find our appointment, and we can return here perhaps in the night to get up to our shenanigans. But let's go see if my request was put through.
Indeed. And then I shall need to eat.
Right. So yeah, let's head back to the Illuminated Way and see if my request is agreed upon.
All
Gaily
right.
forward then.
You make your way back to the Illuminated Way, and once again push through the door. The bell, ding, 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 ding. Same half elf sitting at the desk looks up and goes, "Oh, you're back. Well, that's wonderful. You were approved for your 9 o'clock appointment." He did mention, if I can find my notes and my pencil, he did mention that he would prefer not to stay after hours. He is very busy with other matters of finance, but if you arrive a bit early and make a good impression, he might close up a bit early, send everyone home.
Very well then. Thank you.
Of course. Well, have a wonderful day. And he goes back to scribbling away at his notes. I have actually IRL. Nope, never mind. Found it.
All right. So yeah, I go back out and be like, well, unfortunately, not approved. But if we come early and make a good impression, he said, then he might close up shop early.
Well, I know no better candidate well suited to making a good impression than our resident cleric. So I will leave that bit up to you. No pressure.
All right.
Just
well,
don't fuck it up.
I'll try. Yeah, 9 o'clock then, or maybe a bit before. But anything anyone wants to do till then, or shall we wait?
A leg of mutton.
Right. I guess we can go back to our inn to eat.
Sounds lovely.
The downed falcon, of course, is open. It is on the very edge of the outer city. Rerek, you did not go to the downed falcon, so this is your first time. I didn't write down the names of the two lovely ladies who run it.
Maggie and Robin.
Yes. So they are, as you remember them, Maggie is I believe it was Maggie that was the large, cheerful one.
Yeah.
And Robin, who is the tall, kind of quiet one. They don't have mutton, but they do have a lovely sort of almost Sunday roast with chicken that they are certainly willing to serve. Plenty of potatoes and other vegetables, plenty of hearty bread and that kind of stuff.
I will take the not chicken.
Yes, there's plenty of other things to kind of satisfy that need without needing to eat chicken, but it certainly is a very lovely Sunday roast.
And I'll certainly order one of those and a chicken for my feline friend as well. Just the chicken.
Oh, of course. And Maggie runs off to the back and comes back with a slightly larger than average chicken and lays it down. And she kind of makes a motion to pet, but then decides maybe not, and kind of just goes, "Ooh, well, you enjoy that," and turns and runs back off into the kitchen.
Oh, divine.
Yes, it is. It is very good. It is just as good as the other meal that you had here and the breakfast that you had here. They're very good at cooking.
Yeah. Shockingly good for not even being in the upper city. Well,
Love a good hole in the wall, a diamond in the rough. Mm.
Potatoes are good.
Yeah, you probably don't
They
have
are.
very many potatoes in Gyptia.
Definitely not.
Hmm.
I don't know if you like sandy potatoes. I don't know.
Being eminently curious and people watchy, just perception check, see what's going on around the room because I'm nosy.
Sure. Give me a perception check.
19.
Seems like a pretty average day. Let me. All right. You do overhear there is a person talking. Let's just say he's older, definitely human, probably with his wife. He offhandedly mentions that he's kind of disappointed that the sanctuary of the cathedral was closed today. It's usually not closed. And he really wanted to light a candle. Was a bit disappointed he couldn't.
Did you catch that?
I don't think I did.
No.
There was a gentleman expressing his regrets over the fact that the cathedral, which I believe you had mentioned earlier, had purchased some of those books, he says quietly, was closed today. The sanctuary was closed. No one was able to enter.
So I would imagine Percy would know that that's probably an irregular thing for it to be
Very
closed.
irregular. You, even as I'm sure you trained in the Darkmoor Cathedral, the sanctuary does not close unless it absolutely has to. Like there's a hole in the roof and it's flooded, kind of. They will make do as much as possible so that people can come and sit in the pews and pray and light their candles and hold mass and that kind of thing. This is highly irregular.
That is, in all my years, I can't think of a single day the cathedral's been closed. That it's hard to imagine that it's unrelated to the business we're attending to now.
But didn't
Indeed.
I thought it took time for the rot of the mind to start setting in?
Well, he did say the church purchased those books a week ago.
Oh. Sorry, Percy. I know they're your people.
Yes, they're very kind, most of them.
Well, they likely were. I mean,
Oh my god.
chicken's delightful.
Percy
My
just
mouth
glares
is
at you.
Savage.
At any rate, and Jasmine raises her head, kind of scenting the air. I smell a mystery.
And we do have time to kill until we get to the killing time.
I do so love the way you think.
Well, I would imagine I would still have access if you want entrance to the cathedral now.
Yeah, I think it wise, just maybe to find out what's going on in our fair city. Perhaps information could come to an advantage at some point, given that we'll be ridding ourselves of the source of the trouble.
Yes. All right. Well, if we're finished eating.
Just a second. He says, like, stuffing the rest of it in his face.
Lark's only been eating chicken skin, not any of the meat. He's just been like peeling skin off of it and just slurping it into his mouth slowly as he thought.
I'm not even going to ask.
Are you gonna eat that chicken skin, Percy?
Not anymore.
Skin's a delicacy where I come from, though.
I don't need to hear about that.
Skin of what?
No, no questions.
Oh.
Why
The Feywild,
did you
so
feel the need
strange.
to ask?
I ask questions. That's what I do.
The cathedral.
I feel like Lark was probably like mid, just being like gob, and Percy's like, no need to ask, and he's like, oh no.
Fabulous. Shall
So
we
you-
away?
Would
Yes,
this
definitely.
count as a short rest, by the way?
Sure.
Okay. My Fey presence and first level spell slot recharge because now I'm part Warlock.
Woo.
So my resources come back. Ew.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm fine. I just forgot to. Don't mind me. Carry on.
To the cathedral.
So you do go back to Cathedral Square, and you do see a larger amount of people than normal, kind of milling about in the square, clearly a bit confused. No one seems to be going up the steps. But you end up going up the steps. The stairs, it is a very steep flight of stairs up to an absurdly large door that has a tiny door in one of the doors that they would obviously let people into. The big door does open, as you would know, but it's only open at very specific times of the year. Everybody else has to go through the regular sized entrance. And they do recognize you, wearing your garb and being renowned in that place. They do let you in. They begrudgingly let your group in as well. And you are back in a very, very familiar sanctuary with a long rows of columns, colonnades, niches down the sides with the various icons and statues and reliquaries of saints, all the way to the end where there's the altar and a great big rose window behind it. Of course, the place is filled with candles, and there are definitely quite a few pews, some of which seem to have been knocked over. There are people milling around with, of course, the billowy robes of various colors denoting the different sects of saint worship that are there. And there are some people that are on the floor in the robes, very clearly the other nuns and monks. Some of them are scrubbing at blood that's on the floor. And actually, Percy, I would like you to make a perception check.
That is the score modifiers. Perception. I'm good at that one. 16.
Oh, well, that's good. You see, it's only a flash, and it moves from the back corner. There are multiple doors in the back that lead to multiple places in the cathedral and out to the yards and things like that. A very familiar gray robe, blue tiefling moves from one door over into another door and shuts the door behind him.
Okay. Wonderful.
Above game quickly. I'm sorry, I lost my place there for a second. Percy's the only one who entered the cathedral.
No, you did
We
as
all
well.
did.
No, okay.
You were
Just double. Okay,
begrudgingly admitted.
Yeah,
got it. Thank
they're
you.
with me. So yeah, you'd all definitely notice Percy kind of like tense and get up really quick, and but he's gone. He's not in the room anymore, right?
No, he left.
Cool. So I'm just kind of like stop and like look at that door for a second, and then in that perception check, what I've noticed, like, is there someone like who I would think to speak to ask some questions about what's going on here?
The people in here seem to be new, probably new recruits.
Yeah.
There was definitely a level of your training in which you were tasked with, cleaning the pews, scraping
Yeah.
some of the wax from the candles, dusting some of the altars, that sort of stuff. And it seems like it's mostly those people
Okay.
that are here now. And it
Gotcha.
is also quickly emptying out as people begin to tip the pews upright and people begin to dry the floor. You don't
Right,
see
well,
anyone specifically.
so I might like briefly talk to one of these people, but I think I'd probably want to find like someone somewhat higher ranking to really pick their brain on what happened here. So I used to live here. Where would I find them? Like,
Definitely not in the sanctuary. Probably in one of the back rooms, back offices. There's definitely some offices immediately behind the sanctuary that other members of staff have. You would know that the person who is in charge of the place, Archbishop Sherman, definitely has an office back there.
all right. So is there someone within the Church of Saint Hypatia who I could talk to?
Sure.
If not, I could just go right to the big guns and the Archbishop. But like,
Sure. We'll say there's actually a very familiar person who does actually come in, also as a devotee of Saint Hypatia, a human with black hair who does, for some odd reason, favor bowl cuts. We'll call him Brother Neville.
Brother Neville. Oh, I love him already.
How fitting.
You mean the
Alright.
robes?
So I guess I'll start making my way towards him, and I might like briefly stop at one of these new acolytes and be like, "Oh my, are you doing all right?"
We'll say that it's probably like a gnomish girl in white robes, which I believe was Saint Adeline, similar to what Dove was disguising herself as,
Yeah.
scrubbing the floor, and she's like, "Oh, I'm doing fine. It's a little bit hard to get blood out of flagstone, but and she's just scrubbing."
I would think so. I was just curious about why the cathedral was shut down. Do you know what happened?
Oh, they haven't told us anything yet. They just said that there was an incident
All
and
right.
that we were needed to clean up.
Well, I won't take any more of your time then. May Saint Adeline watch over you.
And she nods and continues scrubbing the flagstones.
And I will make my way over to Brother Neville.
So he's kind of looking around. He's a bit, you see that he's a bit shocked.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of standing there surveying the sanctuary.
Do I know him well, or is this just like another guy who I would have seen a little bit?
I mean, either or. I'll leave that one up to you as to how
Sure.
well you know him.
I'll say just medium. Then I'll just come up and I was gauging, should I hug or should I shake hands or just I don't know. So I'll just pull him into a nice polite handshake, and say, Brother Neville.
Ah, yes, Brother Percy. Good to see you back.
Yeah, thank you. I was just in the cathedral ward and I saw the cathedral was closed. And I was concerned, so I wanted to stop by.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting morning, to
What
say the
happened?
least. Well, uh, a fight would be a bit of an understatement.
But
Uh,
within the cathedral walls.
yes, I don't know what got into those two. I don't know if you know, well, you definitely don't. They were just admitted to above acolyte. Brother Hall and Brother Strauss had been behaving a bit weird, standoffish, very protective of their books. And then we wake up to find them fighting,
I like look
punching
back
each
at like
other.
the cathedral looks really screwed up. Like the pews are like knocked over, there's lots of blood.
Yes.
So it's more than just like, oh well, some guys fought. Like
Yeah.
so, and they did all of that.
Yeah, it was weird. We managed to get one of them subdued. Well, I should say restrained. And the other one ran off, came back with a knife from the kitchen, and well, all hell broke loose. There were several injuries. Both of them fought like I'd never seen before, but Brother Strauss, well, he didn't make it out of the fight.
I'm so sorry.
And we did manage to get Brother Hall barricaded in the basement. Sadly, one of the other members. Sad thing is, I don't even remember their name. He chased him into the wine cellar, and we just shut the door and barricaded it. It was the best we could do.
And locked another acolyte in with him.
It was the only thing that we could do.
Oh, wow. May their souls rest easy.
Yes.
And they just turned all of a sudden.
Well, yes, they were acting strange beforehand, but I mean,
Two
people.
acolytes causing that much damage within cathedral walls is, well, something.
Yes.
Do you know what the higher ups are planning?
At this point, they're going to keep the cathedral closed until we can figure out what to do with Brother Hall. And once both of them are taken care of in the manner that seems fit, we will open the cathedral back up and hold their funerals.
Well, give their friends and families my condolences, I suppose, but I'm very sorry this happened. It must have been a lot to handle, especially for so many young, untrained clerics. Thank you. For all time's sake, I might poke around and be on my way.
Of course, I'm not sure how much additional information you're going to get, but you're certainly welcome to stay. You're one of us.
Of course. May Saint Hypatia guide you.
Of course.
Turn
You as
back
well.
to- I'll turn back to my boys. Well, exactly what you thought would happen. I feel that we're about to, like I said, cut the head off the snake, but some of the venom has already infected this church.
Should we let them know
Exactly.
of the cause?
That's the question. I don't know how much, and I get like real hushed, like the dove, like how much she's wanting us to spread this information. I don't know what the Vespers are. Well, how far they want this to go, but I would imagine we could at least tell Archbishop Sherman if we could get a moment of his time. Well, he might already know.
Not in the interest of damaging my relationship with the dove, simply for the sake of compassion. Not to mention, if indeed the man we intend to, is in fact the head, then the problem will be solved and there's no need to cause panic.
But they will still have the tomes.
They do, and I doubt that these poor two acolytes are the only two with them.
I mean, if we leave the tomes here, that just means a few acolytes kill each other once a year. It sounds like a party to me.
Just glare at you. I can't allow that to happen. This is my home.
Don't humans believe in blood sacrifice?
No. Who told you that?
I just assumed.
I don't know. I just think I should do something to help my brothers and sisters.
Only because you have agreed to help me with my contract will I say that I will offer you my aid, but I swear to the Weavers that if this damages my future relationship with the dove, you will never hear the end of it.
You can always just burn those tomes.
Well, reporting this to Archbishop Sherman will be our last resort. We can try to handle this ourselves. Maybe they said that the infected boy is, well, very attached to his book, but maybe there's something we could do to convince him to tell us where the others are?
Yeah, I imagine that the books were likely the church members had to have noticed something strange with how tightly the acolytes were holding on to those books. They had to have noticed something. I imagine that they've been, I don't know if confiscated is the right word, but they can't simply have left them with the rest of their belongings after such events.
True, but at this point I'm more worried for those acolytes that may have yet to fall victim to the poisoning of other books.
How might you suggest we locate them? I'm assuming there's several.
Yeah, so I guess in my training, would I know, like, as I was, beginning my learning, I'm guessing since these books were given to new clerics, they're probably, that's probably what they were bought for, was to give to newer clerics. Would there be some sort of registry or some sort of system of how these books are passed out? Or
Generally, those who can afford to buy the books, such as people such as yourself, are encouraged to find and buy books for yourself. They do have generic prayer books that they get from somewhere. You think, since there's also a scriptorium in the cathedral, they might write them themselves. So there isn't a lot. of outside buying unless it is other people.
Okay. But
So the likelihood of just random people having them, it's probably only the people who actually went and bought those books from the Illuminated Way would have them. Everybody else would have them from another shop or have them
Okay.
from the in-house scriptorium that exists.
Right. Well, I'm not sure how to approach that outside of just warning the Archbishop.
And bear in mind, we are on a clock.
Yeah.
You could tell him that the books from the Illuminated Way have something naughty in them.
Just lie and say it's not poison, but just
It's
improper
not a
scriptures.
lie, Percy. There's something bad in the books. We should take them away from the acolytes. I need to elaborate.
Well,
Perhaps.
I think the Archbishop may ask a few questions.
Darling, you need
At
to
this
learn how to
point,
twist your words a bit better.
one of the side doors bursts open, and in runs this terrified looking woman that just says, "He's escaped! He's escaped! We don't know where he is! He's escaped!" And
Oh,
then
crap.
suddenly,
Fantastic.
almost as if by magic, appearing behind her, zipping in at impossible speed, is someone that seems to be trailing black smoke, holding a knife in their hand, and just runs this woman through and
Oh,
pulls it out, and she falls to the ground. In his other hand, you see he's clutching a book very tightly. He is covered in blood. There is definitely a physical change that has happened. You can see his skin has gotten paler. You can almost see as he holds the knife back up, his fingertips are black, as if he had been scrubbing at the pages of this book. And he just turns and surveys before charging another person with the knife.
Take aim and fire.
are we
Yes.
killing this now?
Can I cast
And
hold a
roll
person?
initiative. We're going to roll initiative. Woo! That's a high initiative.
19.
And a natural one. Okay.
Oh.
So 19 for Arthur.
Oh. What's my modifier? Unnatural 20.
So 20 for Percy. Lark and Rerek.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Initiative. 15.
13.
13. 13 for Lark.
12.
12 for Rerek. Well, that is perfectly fine. So first up is Percy.
Cool. I am going to cast Hold a Person.
All right. And that is a what save again?
I'm looking for it. Why did my PDF go so high? Where is Hold Person? Give me the H's. Sorry, 1 second. There it is. That's a Wisdom saving throw.
All right. Oof.
It needs to beat
That is an 11.
not good enough. So I'm gonna be like, as he's like charging for like flavor, it's gonna be the girl that I talked to. Like,
she's just screaming as this guy hurtles towards her with a knife. And this guy, he's running unnaturally fast.
Yeah. I'm just like, that is so not an option. And I just grab him.
And he just, but his face still stoic.
Yeah.
stone cold, and you can see he's almost vibrating against the spell.
Jeez.
We're
Is
trying
that
not to
the-
kill this guy, are we?
Uh, just stop him. Just do your best, but get him. Just get him.
So next up is going to be Arthur.
Okay, as a player, I would love to say that I'm gonna try to just wound him, but Arthur has absolutely no interest in doing that. So I'm
Fair
gonna
enough.
Hunter's Mark and shoot him in the face.
Yes.
So yeah, Hunter's Mark. Let me see here. I don't think there's a save against that.
Oh wait.
No.
No.
Also, really quick, I'm so sorry. Am I able to like use my bonus action?
Yes, you can use your bonus action.
Is the girl that he stabbed like flat out dead, or is she just?
The woman he stabbed
Yeah.
upon entering the room, yeah, she's dead.
Never mind. I was gonna
Aye.
do bonus action spare the dying, but she's gone.
You're so kind.
Can we just like have a like? Do we know if we just target the book, he will like stop whatever it is he's doing?
We
I'm
don't
shooting
know
him in the
that.
face.
Huh?
We
Maybe
Straight
you try that
don't
on
know
your
that.
turn, because Arthur's in a blood frenzy.
Yeah, listen, I react quickly. I don't know what to tell you.
Hmm.
Hunter's Mark, 25 longbow to hit.
Yep, that hits.
Okie doke. And let me see here. That is, there we go. Let me get my burp. 18 for damage, including Hunter's Mark.
All right. You fire your bow. The arrow whistles in right for his neck. It hits. There is a flash of light. Black smoke as the arrow just, as if it just pinged off him.
Fucking shit.
On the moment of impact, you hear the screams of people being murdered that echo through the cathedral as the arrow just
More of them?
and nothing. It's as if he wasn't
Sporadic.
touched.
Okay, I don't really have a frame of reference for this, so Arthur's just gonna try again with Jasmine.
You also
she's gonna
see
go-
at this point, you also see at this point, as the arrow pings off of him, his eyes dart and meet yours. Physically, not really much of a change, but you can feel an immense amount of anger radiating from his eyes. So now your attack with Jasmine.
Yeah. So is he? How far away is he? Would you say? I mean, I haven't moved far from the entrance. I'm assuming, or
I'm gonna say probably maybe like 50 feet or so.
okay, cool. That is exactly the speed that I needed. So Jasmine's gonna go for pounce.
Mhm.
So that is a. I don't. Does she roll strength for that? I guess.
Yeah,
don't
it should
recall.
be included in the attack part of the stat block. What her
Yeah.
bonus is.
Let me double check here. Oh, yeah. Pounce is just a special thing. Hang on. So yeah, pounce is the special effect I'm going to use with a claw attack, which is a +5. Okay, let me roll my 20.
And that means he has to make a saving throw or be knocked prone because she moved more than 20 feet in a straight line, I think, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yes. So I'll make that strength saving throw now.
Yep. And that's against a 14.
Only got a 13. He's not rolling too good.
Excellent.
So you described like we can hear the sound of other murder happening elsewhere in the cathedral.
Only briefly as the arrow hit him.
Okay.
So there is, as far as you're aware, there is not other murders happening in the
Cool.
cathedral. That was just
Right.
an effect of something that happened when the arrow pinged off of his neck.
Oh,
Right. I still want to like scream to like all the nameless acolytes around here, like everybody get out.
Oh yeah, people are running. After they
Cool.
saw somebody just get like gutted like a fish in the middle
Yeah.
of the sanctuary, people aren't sticking around.
Cool.
So yeah, if he failed, then I guess knocked prone.
Yes. Also damage for the claws. And also did she
Yes.
hit, I should say.
Yeah, that would be a hit. It's the same roll.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One-
then
One quick
16.
question. If he's under
16
the
damage.
effects of
Well,
hold
actually, hang
person-
on. I lied. Go ahead with your question. Yeah.
If he's under the effects of hold person, shouldn't you be making your attack rolls with advantage? Because he's paralyzed, I think.
Right.
And
Good
how long
point.
is that?
As long as he's still paralyzed by hold person, we should have
Yeah.
advantage on our attack rolls.
Oh, yeah. Creatures automatically fail strength and dexterity throws, so he would have been knocked prone regardless.
Okay, hang on. I'm sorry. Roll that back real quick. My claw attack was 14. Is
Ooh,
that's just against AC? The strength check comes after.
right?
Yeah.
Roll that again because
Okay.
she gets advantage, and I'm assuming she only rolled once, so you get advantage.
Okay. So that was one was a 14, and the other, yeah, we're gonna stick with the 14 because the other one was an 11.
Oof. So she swipes at him. She seems to, as her claws scrape across, she's missed. But as her claws scrape across, there's once again the sound of screaming and murder until her claw off of whatever he has on underneath this robe. And he does not take any damage. And that is the end of your turn.
Yes.
Okay.
Nuts.
Next up is Lark.
Okie dokie, artichokes. Do I get advantage on spell attacks if he's paralyzed?
I think it's all attack rolls.
Okay.
Attack rolls against the creature have advantage. Any attack that hits the creature is a critical hit if the attacker is within 5 feet of the creature.
Okay. All right. So, Lark's just gonna be like, oh, that sounds absolutely dreadful, but hasn't seemed to even. I mean, Arthur, I think you're a little off your game there. And he's just going to flick his wand once and cast Scorching Ray. So let's see what Scorching Ray can do. Oh god, it's been so long I have to fucking look the spell up to see what I'm rolling. I think they're each separate attacks though.
Yes, they are each separate attacks, and there are 3 beams.
3 beams. So yeah. So I will Scorching Ray this mofo. And with advantage, where's my other d20? Come on. There's one. First beam. What's my spell attack bonus? 18 to hit on one of them.
18?
Yeah.
Yep, that hits.
17 to hit on the second one.
That hits.
And dirty 20 to hit on the third.
Those hit.
So that's 6d6 of fire damage.
Yep.
Fire damage?
How much?
18.
18.
Is he dead yet?
No, he is not. Regrettably.
I'm gonna ask, did it like actually injure him though?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Lark was pretty much
so
just
magic
checking to see
works,
if
great.
it was because it was magic. He's gonna be like, well, it looks like magical work. And after he says that, I'm gonna quicken spell to Eldritch Blast him.
Of course. A
Because I saw-
classic.
30 points. So I'm down to 1 sorcery point. Another dirty 20.
How much?
It's 20 to hit. So
Yes, that hits.
and 7 force damage.
7 damage.
Yep. Beams of fire and then that random ray of, hey, it's pure night. It's fine. Don't ask questions. Yeah.
All right. So
And
I'm
I'm going
assuming,
to fly 30 feet vertical to get myself off of ground level.
yes, there's definitely more than 30 feet of space in this. It's a cathedral. And so Rerek, it is your turn.
I'm just gonna use my go-to spell and throw magic missiles at him.
Very good. Those will automatically hit.
Pew, pew, pew. Wait, do I roll a 1d4?
Yeah, you roll a d4 for each beam.
Okay.
Each of the little darts, which is 4 at first level, unless you want to upcast it, and then it's 5, I think.
Mm-hmm. My first roll is a 4. Next one's a 3. And then a 2. Oh my. And then another 4. Oh wait, 5, right? 5 rolls.
If you're upcasting and using a second level spell slot.
Yeah.
All right. So then another roll, which you said was
It's another 4.
4. All right. So you fire these darts and they just knock into him. And it is now his turn, and he's going to try and save out of the hold person, which is a wisdom.
Yes.
He doesn't save. He struggles again against this spell, vibrating even harder, but doesn't seem to move. And that is the end of his turn.
Hell yeah.
So it is now Percy, your turn.
All right. So I am just gonna like Percy's like he saw whatever weird shenanigans prevented the attack damage from going through. I'm gonna try to use. I don't think I've ever used my channel divinity before, but I'm gonna use my grave cleric channel divinity to give him vulnerability to whatever hits him next.
And I believe that is your action. So what does that look
Yes.
like when Percy does this?
I like to think like, so you probably saw like all these other clerics with their nice pretty white robes and stuff, and Percy has like a gross black plague doctor outfit, but he's very much like the ugly duckling among all these sweet Saint Hypatia clerics that you're seeing around here. And he doesn't really get that he's the ugly duckling, so he thinks his magic is like normal for them. But then you just watch this like sickly green radiation come out of him, and he just like holds his hand out, and it just like a plume of this gross green smoke just like surrounds this guy, and gives him vulnerability to whatever Arthur is about to do.
Oh, you're muted.
Do I understand what just happened?
I'll scream out like, "Go for it, Arthur! You should be weak to your arrows."
All right. I guess I'll
Percy's
fire
completely
then.
guessing. I have no idea.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, here goes nothing. So yeah, I will hang on. Actually, let me double check my hunter's mark again. Do. Yes, that's the thing. Okay. So here we go. 28 to hit.
Yep, that hits.
Excellent. And Let's roll that guy. And one more d6. Oh, yay. Okay, so 14 pierce.
Don't forget you had advantage so you can fish for a crit.
Please do.
Do what now?
You have advantage because he's still paralyzed, so you can see if you can
Yes.
crit him.
Oh no, that was with advantage.
Oh,
It
okay.
was still the 19.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm
was
assuming
like,
that
all
All on
isn't.
your
now?
computers, and I'm like, I'm over here just clacking dice and being like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a right click for me.
Okay, and that wasn't doubled. That was just the straight.
Yeah, no, that was just straight. Am I supposed to be doubling something?
Yes,
What
I did
do
it for you.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
worry. I just took that number and doubled it. I was asking in case I was like, you somehow rolled like 7 and then doubled it to 14.
Oh, no. No, that was 14.
Yeah,
Yep.
because Percy used his channel divinity to make him vulnerable, which
Mhm.
means that he takes twice as much damage to whatever the next attack was. So,
Excellent.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. Jasmine, can I have her? I'm gonna have her like run back wait a minute, 20 feet and have her try the pounce again.
Yeah,
with a claw attack.
She runs towards a column, runs up the column, and vaults off of it, hurtling towards him.
Love that. Okay, so that is, hang on, 11.
And the damage, like the weird screaming didn't happen again. Like the damage went through.
No, the damage went through.
Nice.
Cool. Percy like kind of like, whew, like that.
Yeah.
That worked.
16. That does include advantage.
To hit, yes, that hits.
16 to hit. Excellent. Okay,
Mhm.
so that is, so before I give you damage for that, this is where the DC 12 strength check comes in.
Right. Nope, got a 10. So he's going down.
Okay, so he's going down. So I'm going to give you a claw, and since he's prone, a bite attack as piercing. So claw hits, I'll give you damage for that, and then I'll roll for the bite.
Uh-huh.
So claw is D4 plus 5. Claw is 9.
Okay, as she barrels into him and knocks him down, digging her claws in, and he slams into the ground, his head hits the flagstones with a really sickening crack and goes limp.
Yummy.
He's dropped his 0 hit points.
Lovely. Well,
you
all right.
also,
Guess that's the end
Percy,
of that.
feel your spell give out as there's no living humanoid to hold on to anymore. The magic dissipates.
Jasmine for the win. Go, baby, go.
What the hell was that?
The most exciting thing that's happened all day.
Can I go inspect him?
Yes, you certainly may.
I guess making a medicine check here.
Sure. You can make me a medicine check. I'll say he's definitely he's got the bloody knife, and he also is really tightly held on to the book. If it matters to you, the book that he's holding on to is a devotional to Saint Ginny, the patron saint of happy occasions, generosity, and celebrations. You would also know that most of her iconography makes her look like a human, but there are a large portion of halfling worshippers of Saint Ginny, and there is a firm belief amongst them that she is in fact halfling and not human, and it's just human-centric thinking making her human. So there's a bit of a discussion on whether she is halfling or human, but she is a very happy-go-lucky saint, oftentimes illustrated with a flower crown or dancing around a maypole. So that's the kind of devotional that he's like hardcore gripping onto.
Yeah. Can I like kick the book out of his hand? Like,
Yes, you do. It really easily just slides out of his hand as you kick the book across the floor. And what did you get on your
Rerek?
medicine check?
that is gonna be 17.
Yeah, there's definitely something going on here. His fingertips are black. More in the way of like, oh, I spilled something on myself. I washed my hands several times, but it didn't quite come out kind of way.
Okay.
There's definitely a lot of places where his skin shows veins through it that have turned black. He definitely has a sort of sickly look to him. He's been affected by something very clearly.
Right.
And even in death, his face still holds this sort of stoic gaze that he had that's
Yeah.
kind of unsettling.
Since Jasmine was like the one who knocked him down to the ground, I imagine she he smells absolutely terrible, so she just kind of like, you know, makes a gross face and like I motion her back over to me.
Yeah.
I'll do my I might like do like close the eyes like and I want to like go and like over to the girl that he killed, and I want to like try to like position her and close her eyes and say a little prayer over her body.
Yeah. So it takes a couple of moments to do that. And at this point, the door at the back of the sanctuary bursts open, and in comes with big flowing green robes the familiar Archbishop Sherman, flanked by a familiar blue tiefling. And that's where we're going to end the episode.
Lovely.
So make sure that you join us again next week to see the exciting...
Oh, you muted yourself.
Yes,
I muted myself. Oh
Yeah.
dear, where did you lose me?
Exciting.
Yeah, tune
Okay.
in next week for the exciting
Conclusion of this interesting occurrence that has just happened and what is happening with these interesting figures. So we will see you, the audience, next week, and I will see you all in 5 minutes.